We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, if you love everything in college football, if you need just a little bit of extra college football content to get you through the days, to get you through the nights, subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends, with your psychiatrist, with your priest, with your significant other. Share it across your personal social media platforms. Welcome in. Welcome into the corner, into the house that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Welcome in. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a PATC legend. With your comments or with your phone calls later in the show. The PAC-4, Oregon State, Washington State, Stanford, California. Everybody needs answers soon. Keep your head on a swivel. There could be breaking news as we do this live show tonight. Keep your head on a swivel. Put it in the chat. Let us know what's going on out there. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Oregon State fighting for its life. We're going to bring up an article that was yesterday that I missed. I just want to go through a little bit of it. I want to get your thoughts and comments on what you think is about to go down, because it has to go down. Stanford knows that they are the domino that falls, that needs to fall for the other schools to fall. Oregon State and Washington State, they're waiting for Stanford. Stanford knows that. We talked about, 3 or 4 days ago, we reported to you all that we could confirm other people's reports that Stanford had the big guns out there looking for any possibility with the Big Ten, including sending some Olympic teams, non-revenue teams into the Big Ten network as affiliate members. A possibility, a long shot. Stanford still working on the ACC angle. That's going on tonight. Can Stanford and California, can they flip one of those votes of Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina State to say, okay, we will vote you in? What kind of concessions does Florida State need? North Carolina need? What kind of concessions? Other than the extra money, I think they need something else. Like maybe California, Stanford would not be voting members for the next few years, even though they're part of the conference. Something that makes Florida State know that whatever they're going to do here in the next couple of years, that Stanford and California cannot stand in their way, because it's going to be a big enough hurdle as it is for the Florida State Seminoles. There has to be some concessions. Things are going on right now as you and I talk to each other. Cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger. Let's get into it. You know the rules. For me, tonight is not Diet Coke. It's a glass of water. I am all fired up for more than one reason. College football season, it's almost here. I'm thinking Minnesota, Nebraska. Of course, Thursday night, we're going to be doing a watch party here. Thursday night, so come on into the channel. Watch real-time reactions. The Golden Gophers versus the Cornhuskers, and we're going to be doing a watch party for Notre Dame Navy. We're going to be talking about Week 0 football games throughout the whole day Saturday. New Mexico State, UMass, Louisiana Tech. We're going to talk about everything college football. I am all fired up. I'm also fired up about what was said in an interview today. And I want to explain to you why I'm fired up. Why I'm doing this once again. Because you might say, Greg, let it lie, let it lie, let it lie. And I want to. Here's the problem. And I wasn't going to bring this up, but I'm going to bring it up. The only thing we have on this college football YouTube channel, the only thing we have is our integrity. That's it. The guy behind the mic, I barely have the intelligence to even turn the computer on. I do not talk very well. I cannot pronunciate words. I love to sing, but yet my voice drives you all nuts. This is the truth. The only thing we have is our integrity. I do not have to do this first part of this monologue for my family and my friends, because they completely understand. They know what I do. They know what I say. They know the work we put in to give you the best peek around the corner as possible. We told no lies, and we did none of it for clicks. We don't have to prove it. I do not have to prove it to my family and friends. I don't have to prove it to the PATC community. Here's the problem. Every time a certain guy talks, I get inundated by people who don't know me, or they know me, but they just want to take shots at this college football YouTube channel. Every time this guy talks, I get invaded. So, if you don't want to watch this part of the monologue, go ahead and turn the channel off. But I have been more than willing to give people space, to let them say what they needed to say, take a breath, and apologize not for being wrong. I'm wrong every single night of this channel, but apologize for the personal attacks, for attacking the integrity of this show. I've given them space, and not only have they not done it, but they've doubled down. That's why I'm taking one more time to set the record straight. Because we've got nothing. I work 20 hours a day. 20 hours a day, and I've been doing it for months to take care of my family, to take care of my mom and dad, and to do this YouTube channel. I barely have 2 quarters to rub together in my pocket. The only thing we have is integrity on this show. So, you can disagree with me. That is fine. We can have a fun time going back and forth. That is fine. If this YouTube channel is not for you, that is fine. You use your social media platform to go after the integrity of this channel. I will go back at you. I am not going to use this college football YouTube channel as a place to attack somebody. But I'm using this first part of this monologue to set the record straight. Because it's hard for people to understand. But the amount of this Greg Pflugar, he is a Big 12, he's paid off, Big 12 guy who's taken the Big 12 side, who is just pushing, what do they call it, grifting? Are you serious? I want to show you guys a few comments. Hold on one second, please. I wasn't going to pass out any more receipts. But this gentleman was on a show, Mike Luke, who does a great job, Arizona Wildcat. And I watched the first 2 minutes. And then I couldn't, I had to fast forward it. Then I watched another minute or 2 in the middle of it. And that was enough. Here is, and look, I got family and friends who've got stack full of receipts. And I haven't shown any of them on the YouTube channel. I did some on Twitter. But I've got to show a couple here because, first of all, here is a tweet months ago. I think it was CFB Plus unit says, who would win? A collection of some of the most prestigious academic institution, upper echelon college athletics, and some fat guy from Minnesota. And I think he did this in a kind way. He wasn't taking a shot at me. One of my taglines, I'm the fat guy from Minnesota. This gentleman here says, LOL, is that guy still grifting from 12 Anon trolls by lying to them that PAC teams want to join the Big 12? Ha! They should ask for their money back. First of all, this gentleman, he knows. You all know in the PATC community, I said hundreds and hundreds of different times, I said there is no PAC team that wants to leave the conference. But they might have to leave the conference. And we said we thought one of them, at least one or more, would leave the conference ever since February 24th. When we got information, we reported to you all how bad things were with ESPN and other media companies. We never said a PAC team wanted to join the Big 12. And this gentleman knows that. We said it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. You know that in the PAC and the PATC community. But that's not the part. Is this guy still grifting? Grifting. What are you talking about? What are you? We do less. Yes, we have fun with the merchandise store. We are so humbled that people would actually donate money to this YouTube channel so we can keep the lights on. We are very thankful and humbled. We don't do Patreon, and it's okay if people do, but we don't do it. We don't do memberships. It's okay that other people do it, but we don't do it. I cannot possibly charge people for this YouTube channel. That's not grifting, Tony. He says, I warned that guy eons ago that it was all fake BS, but he just attacked me personally and kept the fake news grift going. Again, ladies and gentlemen of the PATC community, all I've got is my integrity. That's it. We don't have fancy graphics. I got 2 quarters maybe in my pocket. And I'm barely smart enough to know how to turn the computer on. He kept the fake news grift going. Really, Tony? I attacked you personally? I try to detach myself from you. By the way, we captured, people have got the receipts on all those as well. We try to detach ourselves away from you because you tied yourself at the hips of a clown on Twitter. I warned you about him. Now, Tony, you said in this interview, you started off the interview with Mike Luke, once again, who does a fantastic job. You said, oh, look, I should have had it in small font. I always said that it was up to the Big Ten presidents if they were going to take Oregon and Washington, if the Pac-12 was going to survive or not. That's not what you said. That's what you haven't said for months. Jim Williams, by the way, this tweet is correct. Jim Williams is absolutely correct. He says, yes, I'm saying that 2 people who are involved with the Big Ten expansion told me they are against expanding until the next TV contract. They told me because of scheduling, travel, Notre Dame contract, NBC coming up, they see no value. Yeah, there were people against it. There were also people for it. And we explained the reasons why. And it wasn't just Kevin Warren who was for it. He was actually the number 1 hurdle for getting Washington and Oregon into the Big Ten in the near future. We explained all the hurdles, but we said either 5 months from now or 5 years from now, Oregon and Washington would be members of the Big Ten. This is what you said, Tony. We've said it for months, as Jim verified. Jim didn't verify this. Big Ten is not going to add anybody anytime soon. That's not what Jim verified, by the way. Tony, stop listening to fake nonsense from fake 12 on sources. Stop listening to fake nonsense from fake 12 and sources or the absurd Big 12 carrying tweet bots. Hold people accountable who are lying to you and making up clickbait and vids saying otherwise. So you were not saying, oh, the Pac-12 is going to stay together unless the Big Ten presidents grab Oregon, Washington. You weren't saying that. And this tweet was at me because I was the one who consistently said over months and months and months, 5 months from now or 5 years from now. And why did we know that? Because we were told that before, Tony, you woke up in the morning of June 30th, 2022 to find that your USC Trojans were going to the Big Ten. And by the way, 3 weeks before June 30th, Tony, you put out a tweet asking John Wilner about the possibilities of Pac-12 contraction. While we were spending 2 months previous to that breaking the news that USC was calling the Big Ten and they were getting together for USC to join the Big Ten. So who is the fake news? Who is the fake nonsense? Who has been lying? Who needs to be held accountable? I've given everybody the space. I've given everybody the time to say, oops, I got it wrong. And oops, you know what? I might not like the fat guy from Minnesota, but he wasn't lying. But he wasn't grifting. He wasn't taking money out of people's pockets. The hot bubble of action, we nailed it. May 24th, the meeting in Boulder, Colorado with the donors, we nailed it. May 31st, the Big Well donor in Newport, California, we nailed it. We nailed it, we nailed it, we nailed it. And not a word from you. Or the clown that's tied to your hip. This isn't the type of show, the type of monologue I enjoy doing, and we're probably never going to do it again. But I watched that interview 2 minutes at the beginning and at the middle, and they were both BS. And again, you ask, why are you doing this, Greg? Why are you doing this again? Because there's a whole bunch of people who don't know who I am. They don't know this YouTube channel, but they come across the name Greg Flugar. They come across the fat guy from Minnesota. And you're telling people that I am grifting, that I am lying, when I nailed the story every inch of the way. So, start off by, I don't care if you got the story wrong. Nobody does. Nobody does. In fact, Tony, if it's tonight that California and Stanford, it's announced that they're joining the ACC, do you know who's taking the big L? It's me here at Peek Around the Corner, because I cannot believe the ACC, those schools would vote for it, the Florida State. But maybe they will, and I will take the L. Nobody cares that you got it wrong. What they care about is you sliced and diced people that you just happen to disagree with, and you called them liars. You called them, and they were part of an Endeavor plot. You see, a Brett McMurphy, the great Brett McMurphy of Action Network, he's going to be fine no matter what you say. A Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports, who, by the way, they all nailed this story. He's going to be fine. Pete Thamel's going to be fine. Andrew Marchand, who you also took a shot at just because he put the article in the New York Post, he's going to be fine. Do you know who's not going to be fine? If you're spreading around your BS and ripping the integrity of a YouTube channel, it's going to be me. That's why I'm taking time tonight to answer back. Finally. I should have done it a month ago. But I tried to be kind. I didn't want to be a jackwagon. But you continue to pull this. Do an apology. That will be the end of it. You don't even have to use my name. You don't even have to say the fat guy from Minnesota. Just do an apology. Say I should not have accused the Big 12 fan base of not being able to say no, like a terrible man who approaches a woman who doesn't say no. Start there. And for those, I'm not going to advise people to advise people on how they should run the YouTube channels or who they interview. But I would, my goodness, start with an apology and then talk about the game, that we all love college football. I'm done with it. Unless you attack my integrity again. Then I'm not done with it. Because that's all we got. That's all that this channel is about. Fun, college football, love, passion, pageantry, history, and integrity. That's all we got. And we're not going to give it up. I'm done with the speech. We're going to go, geez, I'm so far behind. Holy smokes. Woo! Okay, I apologize. Holy smokes. Thank you, Gorb. I appreciate the generosity. I appreciate those comments. Thank you so much. Blake 50785, love your show. Thank you for your generosity. I appreciate it so very, very much. I'm going to try to catch up. I did not know this was going on. Sue Murray, yes, Greg. Thank you, Richard L. Appreciate it. Thanks, Sue. Okay, let's get to... Okay. Thank you, Rebecca. Appreciate all the super chats. And one more time. Whoops. One more time. Just to answer this question. And then we'll be done with it. Just to put a bow on this, a collection of some of the most prestigious academic institutions and upper echelon college athletics. Some fat guy from Minnesota. Who would win? Well, we got the answer. Okay, we got the answer. So we're done with that. Okay. I appreciate all the super chats. Cloak and Dagger shot glasses. Sue Murray, Colin Murray. Susan Murray and Colin Murray are some of my producers on the show. They're going to have to get to it. They're going to have to make some shot glasses. We got a lot of stuff in the... we have a lot of ideas. We just don't have a lot of time. That's the problem. But we'll get some more merchandise stuff out there. Let's get to a college football story. And then I will get to your comments as soon as possible. Once again. And here we are. Oregon State may be days from a decision on start of a rebuild of the PAC-12 by Oregon Live, the Oregonian, however you say that word. Oregon State Beavers Athletic Director Scott Barnes. We haven't been sitting on our hands as it relates to thinking about our next move. While we're waiting for finality as to what Stanford and California are doing, Oregon State may soon have an answer to where it is headed in conference alignment. Athletic Director Scott Barnes told the Oregon Live on Wednesday that Oregon State is committed to rebuilding the Pac-12, starting with the remaining 4 schools of Washington State, Stanford, California, Oregon State. Those 4 schools were left out of the August 4th. We know all that, following the Colorado's departure of the Big 12. Nothing's easy, given the circumstances. But I think our best path forward, Barnes said, it is a solid option in terms of building back. All the more need to have 4 of us as the foundation of what we built. Will it be perfect? And will it be the same? No. But the opportunity to build back and keep originality in play to a degree is important. With less choices, you have less of a path to stay completely on the West Coast. Now, this is the PATC money shot of this article. Barnes said the timeline begins with solidifying Stanford and California's commitment to a new Pac-12. Asked when that might happen, Barnes said soon. When Preston asked whether soon meant days, a week, or month, Barnes elaborated. We can't wait a month, he said. I'm hopeful that it's days. If California, Stanford joined forces with Oregon State and Washington State, Barnes said, we build there from there immediately. Barnes declined to say what schools a new Pac-12 would target. That's all I'm going to go through, and it's a small article anyways. I just wanted to re-emphasize what Oregon State's athletic director is saying. The timeline begins with solidifying Stanford and California's commitment to a Pac-12. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't think that commitment is there yet. From all accounts, from everybody's accounts, California, Stanford, especially Stanford, who is the lead horse of those two. Thank you so much, Lewis Pop. Appreciate the super chat so very much for your generosity. You've been with us since day one, Lewis. I appreciate your being part of the PATC community. Thank you so very much. Blake, I don't know. Love the show. We did that one. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody. Jared Jones coming at you from the 12th hole at the local. Got to do my part to keep the lights on. Have a great show, Godfather. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm sorry. I thank you so very much, everybody. Appreciate it. So they haven't solidified the commitment of California and Stanford. So here's Oregon State. You know they've been talking to the Mountain West. They've been probably talking to the AAC. Oregon State and Washington, they've hired Oliver Luck. Oliver Luck is representing Oregon State and Washington State. Oliver Luck is not representing the PAC-4. He's not representing Stanford. He's not representing California. But they have to wait on Stanford, and Stanford knows this. And all the media companies, they want resolution. So I think we're going to get a decision. Now, there has been rumors. There has been talks. There might be a vote tomorrow. If there's a vote tomorrow, we could very well get a leak tonight as we're doing this show. So again, keep your head on a swivel. Now, look, I've said from the I gave you my best shot on what was going to happen. And I think that was about 10 days ago, 9 days ago, 8 days ago. I thought that what my prediction was Stanford and California, Oregon State, Washington State would all merge with the Mountain West Conference. Because their TV deal goes on for 2 or 3 years, and then it's over. The grant rights only goes on, I believe, to 2026. That would give Stanford a couple more years, just a couple more years to see how the landscape changes, to see if Notre Dame goes to the Big Ten, if Notre Dame could grease the skids for Stanford to go to the Big Ten. I know there's pros and cons to all of these options. I had figured Stanford and California would not get the ACC votes. They would look at the AAC, they would look at independent options, and they would fold themselves in the Mountain West Conference. Because it gives them at least some flexibility down the road. Now, that was about, 7, 8, 9, 10 days ago. I did not think that the ACC would expand with California, Stanford. I did not think there would be the votes. So far, there hasn't been. But according to some reports, momentum is building. And my question to the PATC community is, if there is a vote that flips, remember, you need 12 votes in the ACC to bring on Stanford and California. Right now, we know of 4 solid votes against it. Florida State, North Carolina State, and Clemson. What would be the determining factor that could flip one of those votes to a yes? I don't think it's about money. At this point, yeah, you can squeeze that juice. You can have it where California and Stanford come in as a discount. You can have it where California and Stanford come in and their playoff distribution money and the new expanded playoffs go to those other ACC schools. Yes, all those schools can make $4 or $5 million more a year, and a lot of those schools would love it. A Pittsburgh would love it. A Duke would love it. A Wake Forest would love it. A Boston College would love it. A Syracuse would love it. But would that be enough to flip one of those 4 votes? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think there has to be something more for Florida State, for North Carolina, for North Carolina State, for Clemson. I think they would have to be secure in knowing that the addition of a Stanford in California could in no way harm their ability to lead the conference in 3 or 4 years. They have enough hurdles as it is to lead the conference in that time frame. I think they have to be something about the ACC bylaws has to change. No, I do not think the reduction of the grant of rights can happen. I don't think they can take it from 2036 to 2032, for instance, to get Florida State or North Carolina or the Wolfpack or the Clemson Tigers to flip their vote. I don't think they can do that because that is ESPN part of it as well. But I do think if they change the bylaws to make sure something that gives, you've got to give something to Florida State or on those 3 other schools to flip their vote. Again, tell me in the comments section how wrong I got it. Maybe ACC expands. And if it does, the moment it happens, we'll take the L at Peek Around the Corner. If the ACC cannot expand, now the choices drop for Stanford because they're the domino, right? They're the top domino that has to fall first. What are their choices then? AAC, Mountain West, Independence, trying to get some of their Olympic teams into the Big Ten, go independent as a football team. Again, our best shot is the Mountain West, only because it gives Stanford and California flexibility and down the road, and it gives Oregon State, Washington State a home. And it also gives the potential, I don't know how much of a possibility this is, but some possibility of the Mountain West acquiescing to have their name changed to the Pac-12, or what would it be? Pac-16. Have Navarez be the commissioner. George Kliavkoff would obviously have to leave. The Mountain West commissioner would have to take over Navarez. I don't know. Again, I'm waiting. I'm going to read your phone call. I'm going to read your comments, listen to your phone calls. But this is going to happen soon. This is going to happen tonight or tomorrow. It has to. It has to, everybody. It has to. Okay, let's get to your comments. I am way behind. I hope I didn't miss anybody's. Yes, I did. R Web, apologize. I missed your super chat. Thank you. Appreciate it. I think I got yours, Rebecca. If I missed anybody, let me know in the chat. See? No, I got Richard L's. Woo! I missed a lot here. I missed a lot. Ted Evans. I apologize, good man. I missed your super chat. Love you, Greg. Ignore the toxic trolls. PATC knows the truth, has your back. I appreciate it. Jim Bagley, thank you for your super chat. Keep up the good work. I will gladly reward good coverage. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it so very much. Christopher Mercado, your PATC community appreciates you, Greg. I appreciate you, Christopher. Thank you so very much. again, I hope I didn't miss anybody. I might have. I tend to miss people at the start of my monologue. I'm going to have to figure out a solution to that. Okay. So, give Tulane respect, playoff committee. Give Tulane respect. What was Tulane in the top 25 AP poll? I think they were 23, 24, 22? Something like that. I think they should have been higher. Now that we are hearing about Stanford's boosters reaching out to the ACC, does that mean the Big Ten was not interested? Stanford's been reaching out to the ACC and the Big Ten at the same time. And it's not black or white. Big Ten is interested in Stanford. The Big Ten presidents have always been interested in Stanford. Fox Sports is not interested in Stanford. So, what we reported a few days ago, we confirmed other people's reports on it, who put it out before we did, is that Stanford was putting the full pressure on the Big Ten, their money, their influence, talking to the money and influence in the Big Ten as an end run to get to the athletic directors, to stir up some more talks within the Big Ten, to at least take another look at the possibility of bringing in Stanford Cardinals, great athletic, non-revenue Olympics teams into the conference. Where's that right now? We do not know. We keep poking, we keep prodding, but we don't know what is going on. I wish I could tell you. I was hoping to have another nugget of intel, but I don't. To say that things are fluid and volatile right now would be understated. This is cloak and dagger time. There's a lot of people talking to a lot of people, trying to stir up momentum, inertia to get something. Stanford look, they're not just talking to the Big Ten. Of course, they're trying to get this ACC piece done. And then after, we reported this 4 or 5 days ago, and I think it was yesterday, there was a report out there. I think it was Yahoo Sports, maybe Sports Illustrated, or maybe it was The Athletic who reported Condoleezza Rice once again talking, on the phone line, trying to get Stanford into a Power 5 conference. George Bush maybe working on the behalf of Stanford, working on behalf of SMU, as his wife Laura Bush was a graduate of SMU. So there are phone calls, big money, big donors. The phone lines are going crazy. And again, in one sense, I'm glad this is happening out in the public. Because this is what happened. This is why I got the phone call on March 31st when I was cleaning my car. March 31st, 2022, I got the word from B10 Associates, USC donors. It was leaked from a USC donor to the Big Ten donors, and now the game was on. Big money was talking to big money, and all these big money people agreed they wanted Los Angeles to be a Big Ten city. And I got the phone call. And for 3 months, we went through it with all the details possible. We told the story. Hardly anybody was paying attention. USC 247 was. Minnesota 247 was. All Eyes on Big Ten podcast with Big Kurtz and Jimmy the Greek. They were, but we couldn't get the attention of the West Coast writers, who, by the way, couldn't quite get this story right either. Anyways, fake Tom Osborne, Greg, glad you were able to get some things off your chest. It's important. Now you can focus on the people who love, support you. Thank you so much. GBR at PATC, appreciate it. Mr. Cornhusker, appreciate it very much. Hopefully you come in into the watch party. Cornhuskers, Golden Gophers, August 31st. Should be a good game. Appreciate your generosity. Thank you, fake Tom Osborne. Appreciate it so very much. George's W. Libraries in Dallas. Got it. All right. Zapata. Great. The Mountain West might be the place for Stanford and California, but a G5 is tough to swallow. Have to think joining a P4 is the best way to go. Which one? Yeah, it is the best way to go if they can get into one. And that's what the talks of ACC, they haven't stopped yet. What can Stanford and California promise to those 4 no votes? What can they give to those 4 schools? What kind of security can they give to Florida State? I think it has to do with maybe Stanford and California not being able to be a no vote or not having certain voting powers in the years ahead, just to make sure that Florida State and North Carolina and a Clemson in a North Carolina State, that they could possibly get out of it's going to be tough, even without the California Stanford story. It's, they've got high hurdles to overcome. They have to win this court case, getting out of the grant of rights, either in the court or have the ACC have some settlement with them. So I don't know what Stanford and California can tell those 4 schools. The other ACC schools most of the ACC schools want expansion. They want to add numbers. So when the top brand ACC schools eventually do leave, and I believe they will leave at some point, that the conference can survive. This is what the Pac-12 did not do. This is what the Big 12 did do. The Big 12 added the great brand of BYU. They added the big city of Houston. They added the great brand of the Cincinnati Bearcats, and they added the great market and the emerging brand and the huge alumni in school and the massive amount of students at the bounce house of the University of Central Florida. They added those schools so they could possibly survive another hit. The Pac-12 missed their window. So this is what the ACC now, those schools, the Wake Forest, the Boston College, the Syracuse, they're looking at, even Georgia Tech, in my belief. They're looking at, we want to remain a Power 4 conference. So we want to add now. So can there be some horse trading among the Florida State, North Carolina State, and Clemson to the other schools to say, look, make our exit hatch easier. We'll make your survival rate greater. Can there be a deal made using Stanford and California's entry into the ACC that makes Florida State, North Carolina State, Clemson, and possibly a couple other schools like Miami, Florida, they're making their exit easier years down the road, while making the other ACC security, their survival rate, even higher? Is there a middle there? Is there a middle ground there? I cannot wait to get to the PATC community's phone calls on this subject. 9 more days. 9 more days. Dublin, Ireland. Stephen McNeely, the Fighting Irish versus the Midshipmen. Woo-hoo-hoo. Who's pumped? I'm pumped. I can't wait. I cannot wait. All right, let's get to your phone calls. I've talked enough. You guys are sick and tired of me. Ba 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 ba. The lines are open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. The phone lines are now open. You can talk about anything you want in college football. The first game, week 0, week 1. Who is your first week opponent? How are you going to do? Are you going to come out hot? Are you going to come out slow? I'm getting kind of fired up about the Clemson-Duke game. Very interesting game. Very interesting game. I'm going to talk about it maybe on the next live show.
Call from
Day Old Donuts.
Day Old Donuts. The floor is yours. Thanks for calling. I haven't heard you in a while.
Yeah, I've been kind of busy. Family and I just got back from a trip to Orlando.
Okay.
So we've been busy.
All right.
I just wanted to pop in and say, don't worry about what Tony Altomore says. A friend of mine who's a BYU fan told me he kept receipts of everything he said. Sent that to him on his Twitter, and he blocked him immediately. So, and I wouldn't be surprised if he blocks you too now, but he's a very weak-minded person and very little in the world of not caring to where I would care enough. So don't worry about him. I appreciate what you do. I just wanted to say thank you for what you do and for the information you gave. And, you know, I got to be honest, for the entertainment, there's nothing wrong with that. It was good. But we're not far from the season starting up. And
that's right.
I don't know what's in store, but who knows?
Yep.
I do know that the Huskers are whipping up on the Gophers. So,
wow. What's your score here?
I got 17-9.
17-9.
Yeah, but that's.
Yeah.
I don't expect too much of a high score.
Yeah, now I forgot the guy's name. The center you guys got from the transfer from Arizona State, Scott, right?
Well, there's actually a couple of them. He's actually, from what I understand, still in competition.
No, I think he's. Hold on a second here. Ben Scott. I'm sorry. Ben Scott. I forgot you guys got him. I think he's going to be your starter. I saw a report.
Did they say that? I wasn't.
Well,
sure.
I read a report. It looks like he's been your number one guy at center, and he was pretty good for Arizona State. He played a lot of ball at Arizona State. He graded out well at Arizona State. I think you're still missing your big left tackle. I can't say his last name.
The O-line has some work to do.
Yeah.
The O-line has some work to do. And to be honest with you, I think we're hurting at tight end.
Well, that Gilbert guy, I don't think he's going to get his waiver. Fedoni, what a beast in high school. Hopefully, it looks like he's playing. It looks like he's practicing. Thomas Fedoni, the great tight end out of high school. He's been injured his first 2 years in college. But it looks like he's doing real good, and I hope we see him on the field, and he's probably going to have a great season. This is his first year, right, of college football because he's been injured, but he's a great talent. You guys have talent. 17-9, I think that's a little too low. I would be very disappointed if the Gophers only put up 9 points. But we'll see.
I think there's too many question marks on both teams. We're not Wisconsin right now, or Ohio State. That's just how it is. I accept it, and I just got to take them when I know we could do something. But hey, that's okay.
Yeah.
There's more to life there than just nothing but winning, 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 winning. I mean, we've got a good deal with the TV. We've got new schools coming in. There's a lot to be positive for, and no one really knows what's going to happen. Is Ohio State going to pull from California those schools, the players from Southern California? There's a lot of questions. Is Nebraska going to continue to do that? Is Nebraska going to go back to reaching down into Texas like Matt Rule talked about they want to do that? I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say what's going to happen in that future because really the conference is being set up not for right now, but in 2025, 26. That's what the conference is being set up for, and those recruits are what's going to have the Big Ten and SEC and Big 12 all taking aim.
Yeah.
As far as ACC, I don't know what's going to happen. I have a hard time thinking that culturally, those two California teams don't fit. That's my 2 cents. That's my gut instinct, and I think there's too much instability out there. And I still gotta be honest. Watch out for this guy, Mark. He's a shark.
Yeah.
He says he's not swimming the other day. I got a feeling he's got his nose going through the other side of the net.
Got it. Yeah, he is a shark. There's no question about that.
Yeah. Anyway,
Alrighty.
I hope your family's doing good, and I just wanted to say hi.
Got it. Thank you, Dale Donuts. Appreciate the phone call. Please call again. Don't make it such a long time between phone calls, okay, sir?
Yeah, I know. I'll call you here maybe in a week or so if I can.
Got it. Thank you, sir. Mr. Cornhusker. 17-9. Tony says the Greek rifle goes for 400 yards. I think he's going to go for 300. We shall see. The Illinois Ted, 17-9, spoken like a true Big Ten West fan. You still got a quarterback battle going on there, Ted. According to latest reports, between Altmaier and I forget the other guy's name who's got a little bit more experience. I can't remember the guy's name. My mind is going bad on me. But you still got a quarterback battle going on. According to the latest reports, unless you correct me in the comments section, Ted, we shall see what happens. Go Blue Baby. Go Blue Baby. None. Love your show, Greg. You're the best. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Call from
Ryan Thomas.
Ryan Thomas is on the line. The floor is yours, sir.
Hi, Greg. It's always good to hear you, and it's always good that you're getting the chance to tell that, tell the story. I guess the sequel to 2022.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm Greg Sankey, I would be really, really careful because you got two Brett Yormark's wife. Her father was an Italian mob boss, and Tony Petiti, that's got to be, an Italian name. And with the Gopher Godfather, if Greg Sankey doesn't stay in line, he might find himself at the bottom of the East River. But I'm just kidding. But this whole ACC Stanford thing is just, curious to me because I don't see how the ACC could bring either in. Either in at anything less than a full share, because travel costs are going to be probably to the East Coast. They're probably going to they're probably going to range between $12-15 million a year. I mean, and Cal has to service that debt on Memorial Stadium, and Stanford, they've got as much money as they need. But I mean, that's got to be brutal on the athletes because, I mean, the difference with the Big Ten is, USC and UCLA now have a couple West Coast teams to help them. And, they've got Nebraska and Iowa and Illinois and Wisconsin and Minnesota kind of all along the way. They're not flying, clear to the Eastern time zone, every single time. I mean, I don't know. I don't see. I think the 4 no's are Clemson, NC State, Florida State, and UNC. Is that right, Greg?
What was that?
I think the 4 no's are UNC, NC State, Clemson, and Florida State, the ones that are opposing expansion.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't see any of them going there. And, I know that we don't have faith. I know the dissolution theory is not the route they're going, but I can tell you that they're going to want to preserve it as an option if they have to, and they're not going to increase the vote threshold needed to do that. So, I mean, I just don't see Cal and Stanford getting the votes. And, I don't know what to do with Cal. Cal's a hot mess. I could totally see Stanford, agreeing to come into the Big Ten, at small shares in all sports. But like I said, I think, until Notre Dame sort of, acquiesces, if that happens, then I see Stanford coming in and, sticking at 20. But I think we're going to be at P4, A4, as we're going to start calling it. We're going to be at that, Greg, for probably the next, 10 years or so, at least through this next playoff deal. Those are just my thoughts. And
yeah, I agree. I agree.
As we get to football, I just hope my Cougars can somehow get to 6 wins. We'll see if it happens. But but it's going to be good. So I'm going to be more positive this year and try to enjoy everything. And we'll see. I'll be watching your Gophers and the Cornhuskers. So, we'll see how that. I'm excited to see football kick off, and let's get to the season, my friend.
Got it. Appreciate it.
All right, bye.
Beautiful. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. Anxiety is already building up in me on the Cornhuskers Gopher game. I mean, it is. I'm pacing the floor. I'm waking up in the middle of the night. This is a transition year for Minnesota. Every one of you is worrying about something, about your team. Every single one of you. I know it. I know how you are.
Call from
Brian Matson.
Matson, the floor is yours. What do you got going on, sir?
Sounds good. Well, I wanted to touch base about the whole ACC and possibly getting Stanford and Cal. I'm with Ryan, the previous caller. I agree the travel on that is going to be the tough part for that one.
Yeah.
But as a football fan, I really don't want to see us losing another conference. I want there to, be 4 conferences. That's what I'm really hoping for. I think that would be the best thing for the sport. So I'm thinking I would love to see that happen, but I'm worried about them being on such a big island. I was thinking, do you think there's the smallest, like any small chance of like maybe Oregon State and Washington State to join them if that was to ever happen? So they wouldn't be stuck out there, just the 2 of them? Or do you think the odds of them joining is never going to happen?
I think the odds are very, very slim.
Yeah, that's
but
what
again,
I was thinking too.
I don't think Florida State and Clemson and North Carolina State and a couple others, let's be honest. I mean, they don't want there to be so many more votes in that room. I don't think there's
that you had.
Go ahead.
Oh, the idea you had though, like add them on, but they don't get any votes.
Yes, they don't have any voting power. Yeah.
Yeah, I never heard that before until you mentioned that tonight. And when you said that, I was like, well, that's a great idea. I think that would be the way to potentially get, some of those votes to yes.
Yeah, Well, let's make it clear. I'm just throwing that out there. I haven't heard any intel on that. I'm just speculating.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's possible.
Yeah, that's true too. Who knows? But yeah, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in. I really hope we don't lose any more conferences. I hope we can stay with the 4 and just build it from there. I know there will be some more moving, but it's one of those things that's just going to happen, as the years go on. But yeah, and I can't wait for college football to start, Greg. Go for it. It'll be a good season.
Yes. Can't wait.
I'll let you go.
Thank you, sir. Call again.
Yep.
9 days away. 9 days away. Fake Tom Osborne, Greg. It's amazing how quickly Matt Rule is changing the culture in Lincoln. Our players were starving to have a real leader for far too long. Yes, he's Matt Rule's a great coach, and it was a bad day for my Minnesota Golden Gophers when he was hired.
Call from
PATC legend Mo.
PATC legend Moen. Can you just hold on 1 second?
I guess so, Greg.
I appreciate it, and I do apologize. Lance Maples, thank you for the super chat. I very much appreciate you coming into the chat. Appreciate your generosity to this channel. Thank you, Lance Maples. Holy smokes. And once again, Fake Tom Osborne, again, for your continued generosity to the channel. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Lance. Haven't seen you in the chat before. And I hope you come in with your comments. Let me know what team you root for. And please call the channel. But thank you, Lance, so very much. Mr. Buckeye is on the line. Moen Vision, I don't know what's going to happen, but I think whatever's going to happen is got to happen soon. It's got to happen soon. What can you give us your thoughts?
Well, I heard you ranting earlier, Greg. I just wanted to say that's gimmick infringement. Ranting on things is my gimmick.
Oh, I'm always ranting. I invented that gimmick.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's a temporary, even if Stanford and Cal make it to the ACC, for both the conference and those schools, it's a temporary solution to a problem that's not going to go away. You're right. Those academics at Pittsburgh and Wake Forest and Duke would love having Stanford. But do they really want to travel, all that travel to the West Coast for 2 members? There's no travel partners out there. If they were worried about USC and UCLA being on an island, boy, for Stanford, I mean,
yeah,
the closest ACC school is going to be Louisville.
Yeah.
And then I think Pittsburgh would be the second closest, right?
I think you're correct. Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot more travel than. I mean, everybody wants to point out the Rutgers thing, but Rutgers is, Rutgers and Maryland are kind of, I don't know. It seems to me that that's just a temporary solution to a problem that's not going to solve itself. Even if they didn't give them the voting member status, the problem is if they did want to move to dissolve, voting status or not, they're going to be considered a number in the conference. So you're going from needing 8 teams to going to needing 9 teams by adding 1 or more schools. Even if they're not voting members, they still count. So I don't know that that's a solution that Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, or North Carolina State are going to be comfortable with. And as we've mentioned before, there's 4 no's, but we know there's really 3 more no's.
I think so.
They only needed 4 no's. So, I mean, even if North Carolina State, for example, wavers, Miami's going to jump up and say, okay, we changed our mind and now we're no.
I would think so, yeah.
I mean, the best option still remains to them, the Big Ten, but they're just going to have to figure out how they're going to accomplish it. Stanford's going to have to give up a lot to join the Big Ten. They're going to have to give up that IPLCC, join the Big Ten Academic Alliance.
Yep.
Join the Cancer Research Consortium. And even then, they're probably going to have to take some kind of a pay cut. But, I mean, we need a fourth media partner, and we haven't heard anything from Petiti on it. So until we have the money to fund them, we can't invite them. Because I'm sure if we had the money, both of them would get the votes from the president. We would love to have those nerds on board, too, for academic and research purposes, but
yeah,
we don't need a chart to tell us that we don't have the money to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Fourth game of the year. Buckeyes versus the Fighting Irish. Your first three games, Indiana, maybe Youngstown or somebody, Western Kentucky, something like that. So you're probably not going to show much. And it doesn't really, and I don't know who your starting quarterback's going to be, right? But your first 3 weeks, you're going to figure out your offensive line. There's some question marks, right? Who are the five guys that are going to be on the offensive line? Going into that Notre Dame game, I think Notre Dame, they play Navy. I don't know who they play other than Navy. But anyways, fourth to fifth game of the week, that game's at Notre Dame. The Buckeyes are probably going to be favored by what?
Well, that's going to be dependent on how the Buckeyes look the first 3 weeks.
Yeah. I don't know what the line is right now. You know, they have a line out right now, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if Kyle McCord comes out there and starts throwing darts and the offensive line is blocking, it could go up to 7.5.
Yeah.
If Kyle McCord struggles in the first two games, I'm not going to be shocked for Devin Brown to come on the field and start making plays with his feet.
Yeah.
Because I've heard from people who watched him in camp that Kyle has had some struggles, and Devin has had a couple big plays that he made just, on the fly with his feet. I mean, both of them do benefit, though. They have the best wide receiver room in the country by far. Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably the best receiver prospect in the last 5 years. And, I mean, that's saying a lot considering some of the receivers you see playing in the NFL now.
Yeah.
Like Chase, Jefferson. That kid is just a machine. And I have to send the video of it. Amika Abuka in camp the other day made a one-handed catch, and it just reminded me of Odell Beckham Jr. in his prime, where that kid was catching the ball. So I don't know. It's going to be tough. There's so many things that I'm uncertain about, but once we get that figured out, I think we'll be okay. The only real games I'm worried about this year are Wisconsin and Michigan.
And Minnesota. You guys got a cat named Cameron Martinez, safety, out of the state of Michigan. He was a big high school star. He was a quarterback. Cameron Martinez, and I guess he's been making some plays. He's a guy that the Gophers recruited. He was a 3-star. He was one of these 3 stars that the Buckeyes recruited, went after and got him. The Minnesota was hot after him. Every single year, I wait for Cameron Martinez to enter his name in the transfer portal so he can get some playing time with a different Big Ten school. But he never enters the transfer portal. He's been buying his time. He's been working hard. And I've read reports that he's making a lot of plays in camp. So it looks like we're going to finally see Cameron Martinez out there in the secondary for the Buckeyes. I just had to throw that in there. Yeah.
I hope he makes the big plays, because that's where we're really hurting is the secondary. If you watched the Michigan game last year, our secondary just, plain flat out fell on some plays. Couldn't get their hips turned fast enough. So I'm hoping we really see improvement in the secondary. I know Knowles has been working on the linebackers. I think the linebacker core is really, really looking good this year. Eichenberger, I think, is a good guy to put up there for a potential finalist for the Buckets Award.
Yeah.
So.
And you got your Jack Sawyer there. He's ready to explode this year.
Well, him and JTT, it's time.
Yeah.
They've had enough time to develop under
Yeah.
Johnson. They've got to do something this year. I mean, JTT had the big game last year against Penn State, but where those guys were recruited at, they have not played up to their full potential. So
Yeah.
I'll be excited to see what happens. You know, I'm ready for football at this
Yeah,
point.
you guys got 4 big games this year. 4 big games.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, Nittany Lions, Michigan Wolverines,
The Minnesota Golden Gophers.
and the Golden Gophers. That's it, baby.
I'm still a little more worried about Camp Randall at night, Greg, but we'll see.
All right. Thank you,
All right,
sir.
thanks, Greg.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Stephen McNeely, for the super chat. I appreciate your kindness. Just went back, watched the monologue. Don't even know who the gentleman is, but I don't like him. Convert this super chat into quarters, put them in your pocket to rub together. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate your kindness, Stephen McNeely.
Call from
Tazbo.
I'm sorry, I did not get the name.
Tazbo.
All right, the floor is yours, sir. What do you got going on?
Mountaineering, Florida.
Mountaineer,
Hey, listen,
Florida.
Yeah, mountaineering, living in Florida.
Beautiful.
Hey, listen, you were asking what makes us nervous about our opening game. I have to sit back and think. I'm like, well, let's see. We got a brand new starting quarterback.
Yeah.
We lost our top running back. He transferred out.
Yeah.
Our 2 best defensive linemen went to the NFL. Half our defensive backfield are green. We lost our 3 top receivers. We got a head coach that's on the hot seat. He's actually on fire right now. And we're going to the number 7 rated Nittany Lions in their home field in a whiteout. So you ask me what makes me nervous, I'd have to say absolutely nothing. I think we got it right where we want them.
Okay, beautiful.
Hey,
Plus,
listen, I'm serious. You heard it here first.
you got no.
I'm not going to predict that the Mountaineers win, but I will predict that we will cover.
Well, you got
And
one thing. You got one
I
big
say-
thing in your favor, man. You got one huge thing in your favor, and that is I predicted the Nittany Lions to win the national championship this year. So you've got that in your back pocket. Plus, you guys got Benny Bishop, your slot cornerback.
We've got him returning punts and kickoffs now. They say he's doing lights out.
Yeah, and you got him from who? What team did you get him
The
from?
Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Yes.
We
So
appreciate
now,
every second of it.
so now you put a dagger into my heart. Yeah, so he can play. He can play.
Yeah,
So you got
he's a man back there.
Yeah,
he's a man.
You got an offensive line. You got an offensive line who can play, who's
We
got a lot
we
of
got 3
experience.
NFL offensive linemen. We got
Yep.
C.J. Donaldson back.
Yes,
We
sir.
got we got a brand new freshman. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Greg. This team, I'm not
Yep.
saying it is, but it reminds me of the 2009 Mountaineers. We got
Woo!
a running quarterback, a good fullback. We got a speedster like a Noel. I'm not saying he's Noel Devine, but he's a freshman. He's quicker than lightning.
Yep.
We got a freshman receiver. Everybody in the world wanted him. We got
Yep.
him back.
You got
I'm
the
telling you
cat-
right now, we
yeah.
will cover. And you add that to the fact that they got a running clock now on first downs.
Yeah.
The games are going to be a lot shorter.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for the Nittany Lions to run the ball a lot too, because they're breaking in a new quarterback and new receiving core, and they got
Yeah.
some hellacious running backs. So I think it's going to be a quick game, and it's going to be a low scoring game.
That true freshman wide receiver, he came from the state of Pennsylvania, and of course I can't
Yes.
think of his name. Everybody went after him. What was that?
Gallagher.
Yeah. Gallagher. Yeah, is he
Yeah,
going to
he-
play?
he-
Is he going to start or?
They're saying, I don't know if he's going to start, but they're not going to redshirt him. He's going to play this year.
Now, C.J. Donaldson, he's
Yes,
a horse.
He's 240 pounds, 6'2".
Yeah, former
Man-child.
tight end, man-child. The thing about C.J. Donaldson, and though, he's got to run, he's got to get a little bit of a bend to him. He can't run so straight up and down. I hope.
That's what they were talking about. He's got to learn how not to get hurt in the hole. He's
Yeah,
never
yeah.
been a running back, and he got hurt early last year.
Because he gives, he's such a big dude. He gives a defender such a big target to hit. He's got to learn to get small in that hole, and of course that's impossible. I mean, that's like saying the fat guy from Minnesota, your host, gets small in the hole. It's impossible for me to get small, but you know what? C.J. Donaldson is an athlete. He's got to learn that bend just a little bit. But I'm excited.
Amen.
I'm excited to watch him play again.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. And one more trivia question before I hang up.
Yes, sir.
If you'll remember, there was a game that our coach went into to the 20.5-point underdog. If you remember, he took the Troy. I don't remember Troy what their logo. He took Troy into LSU and beat them in a night game at the 20.5-point underdog, just like the Mountaineers are to Penn State. So history's on our side.
All righty. Neil Brown also took Troy and defeated Nebraska in Nebraska.
Right.
Yep. So
and he is different than I've seen him since he's been here. He is fired up. He's nervous, and he's finally picked up the intensity some. I think it's maybe what we've been missing. I'm hoping. I'm getting kind of excited for this year.
Got it. You should be excited. NBC prime time.
Yes, sir.
The first Big Ten NBC primetime game, Nittany Lions versus the Mountaineers. I cannot wait.
Yeah. Mountaineers cover. You heard it here first.
You got it. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Call
you
again,
too,
sir.
Take care now.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Shakedown 1971. Integrity prevails. Ima Flugard, thank you so much. I appreciate your incredible generosity. Shakedown 1971. I hope you come back into the chat during the whole season. Talking college football, our passion, our love. Thank you so much. Appreciate your generosity. Very, very kind of you.
Call from
Steve.
Steve, is this Mr. Bearcat?
How you doing, Greg?
Mr. Bearcat is on the line. Look out. Cincinnati. What's going on, Steve?
Well, defensively, I think I told you a few weeks ago, defensively, we're going to be fine. We've got three studs. Dante Corleone. He is unbelievable. Briggs also on the defensive line. And then the younger Pace, the other Pace went undrafted free agent. And I guess he was a player. I don't know how he went undrafted, but he's up to Vikings. So you probably read some things on that kid too. Offensively, that's the question mark, especially the offensive line. There's a lot of things there there are a lot of question marks. And, I'm not as pessimistic about Satterfield as a lot of people are. He took over an absolute mess at Louisville. I mean, that was the second coming of Bobby Petrino, and he didn't pay attention when he was at Louisville the second time, and Satterfield took that over. So, I don't know. 6-6 would just please me, but I don't know if they can get there.
Well, they start out Eastern Kentucky, at Pittsburgh, and at home against Miami, Ohio. So you can get into a rhythm early, and then you got the game Oklahoma, and that's going to be on Fox noon Eastern time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big exposure.
The Pitt game is the first game that's going to be on. Help me out, Greg.
What platform is that going to be on? Huh?
CW. That's
The CW. That's right.
Going to carry.
Yep.
Pitt and Cincinnati. So.
Yep.
Anyhow, it's going to be an interesting season, obviously. But,
now, is Emory Jones still the first QB1?
They say he is.
Okay.
Everything I'm reading saying he's having a good camp.
Yeah.
Can't think of a wide receiver's name that was at Florida when he was there. He transferred to Cincinnati. So there's the wide receiver. That wide receiver group's really thin too.
You got D.
Evan
Wiggins,
Prater.
D. Wiggins,
Yeah.
Donovan Ollie,
Yeah.
Leslie, Barry
They got the
Jackson is a
kid.
freshman.
The kid that was Mr. Football at Cincinnati, Wyoming a few years ago, Evan Prater, he was like a 3 or 4 star quarterback, could never break in ahead of Desmond Ritter, obviously, but they switched him to wide receiver because he's a great athlete. So we'll see what happens there,
Yeah.
too.
You got an experienced center, Gavin Gerhardt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, the offensive line's a question mark. Defensively, I think they're going to be pretty darn good, Greg. But
Yeah.
we'll see. This
You
ain't,
guys
this
usually
ain't
have
the AAC anymore.
You guys
know?
usually have a pretty good secondary. I know that.
Yeah. Well, and you know the younger Pace, I guess in Satterfield's defensive scheme, that kid's going to play all over the field. If he's anything like his brother, which I know he is, he'll have a great year if he stays healthy. He really will. But that's the best I've been getting on reports out of Cincinnati. Is, you know, we'll see what happens offensively.
Yeah.
See what gels there. But the Miami game's a given. I'm afraid that, you know, they played each other for over 100 years, and I'm afraid now with being in the Big 12, that game might cease to exist in a few years.
Yeah.
But you know, the schools are so close together, Cincinnati and Oxford, so close together that, you know, they've been playing forever. But we'll see what happens there. So, Greg, let me ask you a question. I got a question because
Yes, sir.
it's been bugging the heck out of me since this Stanford and Cal to the ACC has come up. Stanford and Cal were pretty silent through this whole PAC thing. And now push has come to shove, and all of a sudden they've got some options in front of them. When did this ACC thing, I know when it came public, but when did that start? I mean, did that start as soon as were they talking prior to that, Greg, is what I'm asking. Was Stanford and Cal talking prior to the ACC before the implosion of the PAC?
I think the ACC was talking to the Pac-12 in general about scheduling stuff, but no, I don't think Stanford and California had any interest to go about. No, I don't think they were.
You know, you read all the reports, and from the information, you know, you've given, I just don't know how this could happen. I mean,
I don't know.
I think it's such a long shot.
I think I agree with you. It seems like it's still alive, though. It seems like it's still. It seems like it's still percolating. Let's put it that way.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's just.
And if it happens, I'm taking the L on it because I just.
Well, I would too because I'm very, very pessimistic about it.
Yeah.
I just think all the variables involved, and there's not a lot that matches up, Greg.
Yeah.
You know, just doesn't seem like a great fit. But with that being said, I'm ready for football season to start. So I'll let you go. Let somebody else get on here.
Got it. Appreciate it. Thanks for the phone call. Thanks, Steve. Mr. Bearcat. Cincinnati versus Eastern Kentucky. Then at Pittsburgh, first game, the CW. I think Cincinnati, they can get off to a 3-0 start. Oklahoma, tough game at BYU. Iowa State, Baylor at home. Steve saying Cincinnati can go 6-6. I can see it. And that would be a good first Big 12 season for Scatterfield, a new head coach. No, I don't know, Black Rain. Good question. Do you know why Houston versus Rice is on the NFL Network? I do not know. Great question. I'll poke around, see if I can get an answer to that. Yeah, I had to hide some users in the chat. Hate speech will not be tolerated on this channel at all. Once I see it, you are gone. So, when it comes to other, well, you guys know the whole thing. So, it always confuses me when I see Cincinnati Pittsburgh on the score ticker because I think it might be a baseball game. So on today's show tonight, I do appreciate you all coming in. I'm very grateful for the donations, for the great comments, for the great phone calls. We sit here on a Thursday evening, 7:55 Central Time, 8:55 Eastern Time. Stanford, everybody's looking at Stanford. The vote, could there be a vote tomorrow in the ACC? Could there be that final decision? And how would a vote get flipped at this point? What would the concessions, what concessions would have to be made to like a Florida State, to a North Carolina, for them to say yes to California and Stanford? If it doesn't work, then what happens? California, Stanford, Oregon State, Washington State to the Mountain West, to the AAC, or do those four schools attempt to poach first from the AAC and then from the Mountain West the next year? Will they try to rebuild the Pac-12? At the start of the show, we read the articles. We talked about Scott Barnes, the Oregon State athletic director. His wish, his number one goal is for Oregon State, Washington State, California, Stanford to actually rebuild the Pac-12. To either merge with the conference but become the Pac-12 rebuilt, or to poach. Either way, Oregon State's athletic director does not want the brand, the Pac-12 name, to go away. We shall see here at Peek Around the Corner. I want to thank you all for coming in. I want to thank you for your kindness, for your patience in that monologue, for your generous donations. Holy smokes. If you're new to the channel, please smash that like button. Subscribe to our channel and share the video with your family and friends. Please stick close to us as we follow the Stanford, California, Oregon State, Washington State story. And we are 9 days away. 9 days away. The fat guy from Minnesota, I cannot wait. Dublin, Ireland, Notre Dame, Navy. All the games in week 0. Week 1, we barely touched upon it. There's a few games there that I love, and I'm going to go against the spread. Greg the Cooler is going to become Greg the Heater. Some way, somehow, a miracle has to happen. I acknowledge that, but it's going to happen. So I want to thank you all. Please stick with us during the college football season. It's going to be a season of passion, of tears, of celebration. And of course, most of us are going to get shattered at some point during the season, and more than one time. So anyways, that's college football. The pageantry, the passion, the history, the love of the sport. Thank you for joining us tonight. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.